International students and interns are extremely enthusiastic about prospect employers as well as employment opportunities within Canada. Luckily, in Canada, international students and interns may work for companies while they are on a study permit. Therefore, for employers, this gives them an opportunity to hire international students and interns part-time and full-time when they're on breaks. Keep in mind there are certain steps that you must take into consideration prior to hiring an international student or an intern. In this video, I will outline the steps needed by an employer to hire an international student or an intern, as well as the steps needed for an international student as well as an intern and what they need to do. There are specific requirements that international students and interns must take into consideration before seeking employment. It is very important for the employer to also know these requirements prior to hiring them. As long as a student holds a valid study permit within Canada, they may be able to work while here. The student that applies to work in Canada must work for any Canadian employer for a maximum of 20 hours a week during regular school hours, a maximum of 20 hours a week during the regular study period. Additionally, they may also work for the employer on a full-time basis during their regular breaks. This is extremely beneficial for the international student or intern as well as the employer, as the international student will gain employment during their studies, and alike the employer will gain a full-time employee temporarily. As a student, you must meet specific requirements prior to working in Canada. In order to be eligible to work in Canada as a student, you must obtain a valid study permit for full-time studies in Canada, be enrolled at a post-secondary institution on the designated learning institution list, study in an academic, vocational, or professional training program, study in a program that leads to a degree, diploma, or certificate, and lastly, study in a program that is a minimum of 6 months long. If the student meets all of the aforementioned requirements, then they must apply for a social insurance number. Without this identification, they would not be able to work in Canada legally. Another option for international students is the postgraduate work permit. The postgraduate work permit is essentially an open work permit for international students. The postgraduate work permit program is intended for international students who have completed a Canadian education at a Canadian school and have attended a program that is over 8 months long. The benefit of this program is that it allows international students to work for any Canadian employer for a maximum of 3 years. In contrast, in order to work as an intern in Canada, they must first go through the process of applying through the Federal Internship for Newcomers program. This program is extremely beneficial for employers and candidates alike. Specifically, it allows employers to fill labor shortages by hiring newcomers. However, not all employers are eligible to apply through this program. The employers that are eligible to apply are employers in the federal government department, agency, organization, or the private sector. Also, they can only be located within the proximity of Ottawa or Gatineau, Toronto, Victoria, or Vancouver. Therefore, the government is extremely explicit with who can apply through this program. Additionally, they also look for interns within specific fields of work. The fields are administration, policy and research, project management, finance, and computer science, just to name a few. If the intern does in fact qualify under one of these fields, then they do also have requirements that they need to comply with. The correct candidate to be an intern must acquire the necessary language skills to work, had an assessment made by immigration serving organizations. If necessary, they had taken a job readiness training, and lastly, had an interview and evaluation made by Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. At this point, if the intern has all of the aforementioned requirements, then they are well on their way to beginning their designated placement. There will be steps needed for the employer to hire an intern through the FIN program. It is important to follow each step in order and review each step before proceeding to the next one. You must first recognize and define positions within your organization for interns through the FIN program. Once this is complete, you can make a list, and then you can apply and fill out the form accordingly to the best of your ability. At this point, you will receive resumes from prospect interns applications. Once you have received them, compile a list of the eligible interns. Moreover, you will then conduct interviews and see which candidates are suitable for your organization. Then you will check their references for assurance. Afterwards, once you have selected the interns that you would like to hire, then you can make them a job offer. Specifically for federal partners, you will then begin the criminal clearance check through your Human Resources Department. And lastly, once the interns are hired under your organization, they will proceed to receive a salary. If you would like to hire an international student or an intern, it is essential for you to take all of the aforementioned information and documentation into consideration. Here at Akrami & Associates, we have dealt with many immigration matters and can definitely help you out. Essentially, we have helped many of our clients obtain international students and interns for their organizations. If you would like to proceed with hiring an international student or an intern, please feel free to contact us. With Akrami & Associates, there's always a way.